Hello, I'm Agustin Martin G. Rodriguez of the Ateneo de Manila University, a partner of the Akita International University. We are happy to be participating in this research conference, which Akita set up for its partners to share their research. Thank you to Akita University, International University, for allowing me to share my research on this topic. I will share my screen now. Okay. The title of my talk today is Discovering the Mechanisms of the Real Through Scientific and Indigenous Rationalities. The reason I want to talk about this is because it's always really been a concern of mine to ask the question if the indigenous people, our ancestors and our living indigenous people, if they don't have a similarly or a similarly rigorous system of understanding, research, and knowing. Okay. And so I've always wondered, because of course, the global academic community, we are actually living in a sense, under the regime of scientific um exploration according to how has been defined by modernity and has been explored in Western civilizations up to from modernity, from the 1400s up to today. We live under the regime of scientific knowing. Okay. And I've always wondered, are there no alternative ways of knowing that we could claim might be as rigorous and fruitful as scientific knowing? And this is the root of my own reflections. I don't really particularly research on directly. Okay, I sorry. I would it's probably important to introduce myself as a researcher in philosophy. Okay. So I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not a scientist, and I'm just a person who does philosophy. But it's always been a philosophical concern of mine to wonder if indigenous people indeed have a way of knowing and a way of exploring the world that we can see as equally rigorous and equally fruitful for our human engagement in the world. Okay. And this is my initial exploration of that question, just to pose why I think it's important to ask this question and continue to discover its possibilities. Okay. So today we have a gold standard of knowledge. Since the rise of modernity, scientific methodology has been recognized as the gold standard of human knowing, right? Any kind of human knowing has to emulate a kind of rigor and system and abstraction and theorizing that the hard sciences do, or the natural and the experimental and the theoretical sciences do. Why? Because it provides us with models of the mechanisms of the world. Okay, I'll explain what I mean by mechanisms of the world later on. Well, basically, okay, I think without the particular exploration of my own framework for understanding what the mechanisms of the world what I mean by the mechanisms of the world, at least from a layperson's perspective, or maybe even the educated person's perspective, when we say the mechanisms of the world, we are really referring to the systems that allow things to exist the way they exist, which shape the coming to presence of the world, which shape the movements of the things in the world, which shape the systems of becoming, the systems of flourishing of things. Okay. So we can understand that as the mechanisms of the world. And science helps us identify the causes and predict the effects of what we encounter in a way that allows us to manipulate the world. Okay. So we really value scientific rigor. Okay. Because scientific rigor provides us with abstract theoretical knowledge based on data. It's based on empirical data, right? But it comes up with very systematic theoretical abstract knowledge. This form of knowledge is founded on an abstraction from nature that allows us to understand the world, okay, as governed by exact systems and mechanisms. I think we can always say that science has existed since, even the times of the ancient Greeks, and maybe even further than that, in the times of the ancient Chinese and the ancient Egyptians, right? It's always existed. Human beings have always been developing science, but modern science is particularly useful to us, and it has actually taken over all forms of knowing because we pattern our forms of knowing to it, because it allows us to understand the world as governed by exact systems and mechanisms. And once we think of the world as being run by, and that the world um functions according to exact mechanisms and systems, it really helps us it facilitates our manipulation of the real. It helps us look at what's happening in the world, we look at what's happening in reality, and it allows us to, since it's a mechanism, right? It allows us to engage it in such a way that we can tweak it, we can manipulate it, we can make it move in ways. Once we understand how it functions, we can make it move in ways that benefit us or help us realize our agenda. So we can really, but I would like to explain the efficacy of science from a critical realist perspective. I'm kind of borrowing from Bhaskar here. Um, not so for the fans of Roy Bhaskar, you might bash me in a sense because you might say that this is not exactly what he's talking about. Okay, I'm just borrowing his ontology, so and you'll see why it's important for me. Okay. So anyway, the critical realist ontology, according to Bhaskar, um, would that he sees reality, or he sees, what we understand to be reality as composed of three domains. Okay. The first domain is the domain of the real. It is the domain of the mechanisms that define things. I personally, my interpretation of this, so remember, I'm not doing a scholarly exegesis of Bhaskar's work, okay? But I'm borrowing from his terms and I'm borrowing from his ontology. And based on that, when I think about what he means by the domain of the real, I think, at least in my understanding, is that um the domain of the real is that aspect of reality where all things are pure play. There's a pure play of giving. There's a pure play of giving that makes things come to presence. In scientific terms, it's like a mechanism. There are mechanisms, there are systems, there are things that are going on, mechanisms that are functioning, and what they do is make things come to presence. Okay, make things, okay, that's my term, but make things actual in the world. Okay, so this brings us to the second domain. So the first domain is just pure mechanism, just pure the domain of the real. The real is just pure mechanism. Okay, the second domain is the domain of the actual. This is the domain of events which are perceptible to us as the effects of these mechanisms. So these mechanisms work, they produce effects. The effects manifest in the domain of the actual. But the domain of the actual is knowable to us as events, but it's not always known to us. It happens, it's happening, but it's not always known to us. When it is known to us, when we do know it, and then when we can articulate it, that means that this event has already made itself present in the domain of the empirical. So the domain of the empirical is the realm of all things which are perceived and recorded by us. Okay. So science, so what does science want to understand? Science wants to unearth, in a manner of speaking, wants to articulate what the mechanisms that make things come to presence from the domain of the real. What we really want to understand is what happens in the domain of the real. Okay? So, the domain of the real, which is the play of processes that give beings to presencing, science tries to understand that, tries to unearth that. What's happening with these mechanisms? Why? for obvious reasons, because we want to manipulate reality so that we can make reality function in a way that's very helpful and useful to us, right? So these processes are the pure mechanisms of giving beings to presencing, and sorry, science wants to understand that. Okay? Now, there are two domains, right? That where the domain of the real, the mechanisms of the real make things presence to us. Okay? And that is the realm of the empirical. The domain of the empirical, of course, is the most accessible to us because we already experience it. It's there. It's concrete reality, right? And this is basically the effect of the mechanisms of the real. These are very concrete effects of the mechanisms of the real. Now, the domain of the actual is, so basically what happens is that the domain of the real is a mechanism that functions, and then the effects as event is the domain of the actual, but it's manifest most clearly to us. When it's most manifest to us, we experience it as the things, as empirical things, right? So basically, what the scientist does is they look at empirical things and they say, hey, there must be a mechanism making this thing happen. So they go back to try to understand the events that make that are tied to the empirical realities. And as they work their way back, the idea is, well, as we engage empirical realities, we try to understand what events they make, they come from, and then from the events, when we articulate them, we want to understand the mechanisms that make them possible. That's science. That's the point of science. So what science does really is it traces back from the concrete realities. In a sense, it has, that's what its methodology does. It does all these experiments, it makes all these explorations through experimentation. But basically, what scientific methodology does is it makes these mechanisms knowable through experiments, which trigger the mechanisms under study to manifest in their purity, in their mechanism, without to show precisely how the mechanism makes events happen and how the mechanisms are responsible for empirical reality. So science's task is to trace back from the known empirical realm to the knowable event realm and to the mechanisms of the real. Because once we know the mechanisms of the real, then we know why things happen and how they happen. Now, scientific assumptions are the most rigorous human investigations into the real are all focused on discovering the mechanisms of the real. And I want to emphasize that word mechanisms. They want to uncover the creative play that gives all beings to be. The objective of science is to uncover these mechanisms, like systematic machine-like processes, um, in order to predict and manipulate what our experiences the world or phenomenon. But this is not the objective of all forms of rigorous knowing. Okay? There is such a thing as indigenous forms of knowing. The basic assumption, so I contend that indigenous forms of knowing also seek to understand the mechanisms of the real, except the emphasis is not so much as on the idea that it is a mechanism, but we want to know what are the processes, or what I would like to call, what is the play of giving that occurs behind phenomenon and events and the empirical reality, in order for us to understand why things are the way they are. So the basic assumptions of indigenous knowledge, indigenous ways of knowing, are to understand the creative system. That's what think. That's how they understand the mechanisms of the real, the creative system that gives all beings to presence. Not particularly to manipulate, but to engage creatively in partnership with other beings, in realizing the creativity of this play that is, the source of all coming to presence. So this play is not seen as a mechanistic system, but a solidarity of beings. And that's what we want to discover. What is the creative play that is behind all the coming to be of all things? And how do beings participate in it? How do beings engage it in a creative way such that we participate in its creativity. Because I think their assumption is the play that gives is not an exact system or a mechanism, but a solidarity of beings in creative play. To discover the mechanisms of the real in this case would really entail a respectful opening to the creative processes that gives beings to be, and a respectful opening to how other beings participate in that creative process in order for me, the individual seeking or the community trying to understand, to participate in that creativity. Okay. So one example I think that we could give really is the Filipino cosmology. Because in the Filipino cosmology, we understand that all things are kapwa. Kapwa means, okay, it's hard to translate, but fundamentally, kapwa means that we are all fundamentally connected to each other because we are all capable of so because our beings are one in solidarity. That's the fundamental idea. And this is the reason why we can intuit how other beings feel, right? Like so that anyway, okay, it's hard to explain, so I'll just go through this whole process. Okay. So the cosmology of the Kapwa understands that the cosmos is built on the solidarity of the network of persons who participate in these creative processes. So there's a cosmos with creative processes giving things to being. All beings participate in that being creative process. So genuine knowledge is founded on the understanding that is founded on understanding these persons. And I mean persons because we understand that the world is filled with the cosmos is filled with persons, invisible persons, other forms of personhood, other subjects who who dwell in being and participate in realizing this being. So genuine knowledge is founded on understanding these persons and how to build relations of solidarity with them in order for us to build a community of beings who are participating in the creativity of the universe, of the cosmos. But the processes of building solidarity is realized by discovering the means of understanding how to communicate with them. So basically, I think the indigenous Filipino science is really focused on how do we understand the natural world, the world around us, by figuring out how to communicate with these beings and build communion with them in order for all of us to creatively engage the creative cosmic processes, the realm of the real. So indigenous systems of discovering the mechanisms of the real include interpreting dreams, interpreting science and natural phenomenon, understanding the processes of nature, experimenting with appropriate responses to the spirits, and appropriate ways of engaging nature to engage its fruitfulness. It's like we see reality, not like science sees reality as this mechanism, this machine that we can tinker with, but really a community of creative beings participating and realizing the creative mechanisms or the creative play that gives things to be. So there are ways, these are ways that assume that the mechanisms of the real are founded on on the solidarity of creative persons participating in the creativity of the mechanisms that give to being. Okay. So this is really another way of knowing. These are indigenous ways of knowing with different metaphysical and epistemic presuppositions, and they have different objectives. Their desire is not to abstract the world, to manipulate it and understand it as a machine, or and its mechanisms, but build solidarity with beings in order to participate in the creativity of natural processes. Okay, sorry. So we can't so basically, if you think about it in the terms of Bhaskar, there is really this engagement and understanding that we participate in, that the world is given by this creative play, which he understands is the mechanism of the real, which we understand to be the creative play of the cosmos. But all science, all knowing seeks to understand the heart of that. How does it work? How is how does it give things to being, and how does it make things flourish? And my point is science and indigenous knowing seek the same thing. Only their assumptions are different. And both are creative and allow us to participate creatively in reality. But my question now is, are they necessarily hostile to each other? To reduce knowing to scientific knowing means to marginalize these other potentially more sustainable ways of knowing and being in the world. And we know that it is really the scientific attitude of abstraction that allowed us to actually bring about a lot of the environmental crisis, which brings us even to the worst one, which is global warming. We're facing perhaps the greatest crisis in the history of humanity. It's a crisis brought about by civilization built on abstract knowing. So what we need perhaps is a discourse, and we cannot really insist on the myopic vision of science. Science is not destructive, but when it is myopic and when it colonizes other forms of knowing, it becomes narrow. So we must open the global civilization to other forms of knowing that will enrich our unsustainable ones. This calls for the opening of arenas of dialogue where scientific knowing, indigenous forms of knowing, even in other forms of imagining the cosmos can dialogue in order for us to be able to understand how we can build a more sustainable and just world. Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of my talk. I will now stop recording. Thank you.